Top 12 Most Deadliest Wars in History. 12. The Second Congo War. The Second Congo War 1998–2003 was one of the deadliest wars in history and the deadliest in modern African history. This war spanned over a period of 5 years and caused the death of around 5.4 million people. 11. Napoleonic Wars. The Napoleonic Wars 1803–1815 pitted the French Empire and its allies against a coalition of European powers during this period. It is estimated that around 3.5 to 6 million people were killed as a direct or indirect result of the war. 10. The 30 Years' War. As the name implies, the 30 Years' War was fought between Catholic and Protestant states in Central Europe from 1618 to 1648. It is estimated that the war was responsible for the deaths of 8 million civilians and military personnel alike. 9. The Chinese Civil War. The Chinese Civil War started in August of 1927 between the government-backed Kuomintang and the Communist Party of China. The massacres and mass atrocities carried out by both parties resulted in more than 8 million casualties by 1950. 9. The Russian Civil War. The Russian Civil War claimed the lives of more than 9 million people to 8 million of whom were civilians. The war spanned from 1917 to 1922, immediately after the Russian revolutions of 1917. And it was fought between opposing political factions, namely the Red Army and the White Army. 7. The Dungan Revolt. The Dungan Revolt was a war fought between the Hans, Chinese ethnic group native to East Asia, and the Huiz Chinese Muslims in 19th century China. During the Qing dynasty, there were approximately 20 million war-related deaths, mostly caused by famine and migration brought about by the war. 6. Inlushan Rebellion. The Inlushan Rebellion was a rebellion against the Tang dynasty of China between 755 AD and 763 AD, although it is difficult to accurately report the death toll. Census reports taken the years following the war imply that around 36 million people were killed, or about 2/3 of population. 5. World War I. The First World War was fought between the Allies and the Central Powers. The war lasted for years, from 1914 to 1918, but it was responsible for around 18 million deaths. Of the 18 million deaths, about 11 million were military personnel and about 7 million were civilians. For Taiping Rebellion. Yet another war in China. The Taiping Rebellion was another large-scale rebellion that was fought between 1850 and 1864. Although there isn't an exact number, most estimations have the Taiping Rebellion responsible for 20 to 30 million deaths. 3. The Qing Dynasty Conquest of the Ming Dynasty. Ming Dynasty was anything but peaceful. The rebellion waged for over 60 years, from 1618 to 1683, and resulted in the deaths of 25 million people. To the Second Sino-Japanese War. The Second Sino-Japanese War was waged between 1937 and 1945 between the Republic of China's National Revolutionary Army and the Imperial Japanese Army. That resulted in 25 million civilian deaths and over 4 million Chinese and Japanese military deaths. 1. World War II. World War II was a global war that spanned from 1939 to 1945. The war pitted the Allies and the Axis power in the deadliest war in history and was responsible for the deaths of over 70 million people. The war was also responsible for the deaths of more than 50 million civilians.